So our webinar is live on Facebook right now, and it is recorded.
Ms. Lana, can you also have a look at the people in the waiting room so that you can also let people in? Because I think that I need to start now. Right, I think that it's time for me to start the webinar now. Welcome you all to webinar 5, the final webinar in season 1 of the series of professional development of PD webinars, exclusive to teachers of English at kindergarten to grade 12 throughout Vietnam using the new textbook series. Proudly brought to you by the organizing committee with the support, guidance, and consultation from the VietTESOL Association or VTA, the Regional English Language Office or RELO, US Embassy, Hanoi, Vietnam, Lawman Pearson, Vietnam, I said Clever Learn Hanoi, and Talking in English. Those are our sponsors, as well as the sponsorship from VTA and RELO. My name is Nguyễn Tâm Trang, and I'm a lecturer at Hanoi National University of Education, and now currently I'm a PhD student at Faculty of Education, Monash University, Australia. I'm the initiator of this PD webinar series, as well as one of the members of the organizing committee. Other members of the organizing committee are Ms Đào Thúy Nga, Thái Nguyên University, Dr Đỗ Thị Phương Mai, my colleague at HNUE, Mr. Trần Quang Nam, Ho Chi Minh University of Education, and Ms. Chị Ngọc Anh, Banking Academy of Vietnam. Thank you all the members of the organizing committee for voluntarily spending your precious time organizing the webinar so far. And I'd like to kick off by introducing a little bit about the webinar series. As you can see on the slide, there are 4 main themes of the webinars, including English language teaching or ELT methodologies, using information and communication technology or ICT in ELT, testing and assessment, and professional development or PD. So far, we have been organized 4 webinars. The first webinar is about teaching integrated skills with the participation of Dr. Hà Văn Sinh as our speaker and Dr. Trần Đăng Khánh Linh as our main facilitator. And other facilitators are Ms. Lê Thu Hằng, Ms. Nguyễn Thị Thu Thảo, Mr. Đỗ Mạnh Cương, and Ms. Phạm Thị Hải Ngọc. The second webinar is entitled Online Blended Learning Design and Delivery with Ms. Nguyễn Thị Lan Hường as our speaker and Ms. Giang Thị Trang as our main facilitator. Other facilitators are Ms. Nguyễn Đức Ân, Mr. Phạm Đức Thuận, Ms. Bùi Thị Liên, and Ms. Trần Thị Thúy, and Ms. Hoàng Thị Quỳnh as our guest teacher. Webinar 3 is about test design and development with Dr. Nguyễn Thị Ngọc Quỳnh as our speaker, Dr. Lê Trầm Hương as our main facilitator, and other facilitators are Ms. Nguyễn Thị Phương Thảo, Ms. Phạm Thị, Ms. Phạm Thị Thanh Huyền, Ms. Tạ Thị Mai Hương, Ms. Hoàng Thị Sáu, Ms. Đào Thị Ngân as our facilitator, and Ms. Bùi Thị Sao as our guest teacher. And webinar 4 is about free online learning resources. And our speaker is Dr. Nguyễn Bùi Khôi Nguyên, and Dr. Bùi Thị Khôi Nguyên and Mr. Phạm Ngọc Đức as our main facilitator. And other facilitators are Ms. Nguyễn Thị Ngọc Ánh, Nguyễn Ngọc Ánh, and there's so many facilitators, and I have a bad memories of remembering the people's name. So Ms. Nguyễn Thị Bích Hạnh and Ms. Đinh Thị Thái Hà as our facilitator for webinar 4. And now let's move on to webinar 5 with Ms. Chị Ngọc Anh as the main facilitator and the moderator of the webinar today. Ms. Chị Ngọc Anh, are you here? Ms. Lan Hương, can you also find Ms. Ngọc Anh for me, please? In the waiting room?
Yeah, she's here. She's here, and she has chat in the chat box.
Ms. Ngọc Anh, can you please take the floor and introduce a little bit about webinar 5 today, the final webinar in season 1.
Yeah, just a minute. I'm finding Ngọc Anh. So, Ngọc Anh, can you unmute your mic?
Actually, I'm trying to unmute myself, but I can't because the host is, just has muted me for a long time. Hello, everyone. So sorry, I'm actually have been trying to unmute myself and then raise my voice. However, I can't. So yeah, good morning, everyone. And my name is Chị Ngọc Anh, and it's my honor today to be the moderator of the webinar number 5, writing abstracts for conference presentations. So please join me warmly welcome and appreciate the presence of Dr. Đặng Tấn Tín, the Dean of Faculty of Foreign Languages in Ho Chi Minh City University of Technology and Education, and a member of the Board of Directors VietTESOL Association in 2018. Thank you so much, Dr. Tín, for joining us today and devoting time and expertise to the sharing and developing the pre and post webinar conference materials. And together with the sharing of Dr. Tín, we also have a sharing from a lot of moderators, such as Dr. Nguyễn Thị Hồng Nhật from University of Education #2, and Ms Cao Thị Hồng Phương, Ms Trần Thị Cúc, Ms Phạm Thị Hồng Nhung, and Ms Đào Thúy Nga. I would like to extend big thanks to all of the facilitators today for preparing the presentations, and my huge and all the committee's appreciation goes to all the participations today for being present at the webinar. So please feel free to interact with our facilitators during the webinars and after the webinars for some follow-up activities. So now I would like to share with you the agenda of the webinar today. We also have 3 main parts of the webinar. We will begin with the sharing from the Dr. Đặng Tấn Tín, our speaker today, and followed by the sharings of the facilitators. And we will spend most of the time for Q&A from you as participants and speakers and moderators. And finally, I think maybe Ms. Tâm Trang will have some brief summary of this webinar and series, some introduction to season 2 of the webinars. Yes, so, and also please be informed that after participating in the whole webinar, you as participants may be eligible to receive an electronic certificate. So at the end of the section, we will provide a short quiz for you to verify your attendance. Yeah, and then you will get the certificate. And also, I think that you can leave the questions to the speakers and the facilitators at the Q&A. However, feel free to chat in the chat box if you have a kind of prompt questions. Okay, so I think, yeah, now I would like to leave the floor to the speakers today. Yeah, Dr. Đặng Tấn Tín, welcome.
Thank you very much, Ngọc Anh, and all the organizers for doing this. Thank you everyone for your interest in coming to the webinar so far. I think that is so good. I'm not going to take time anymore. I'm going to start right now. Ngọc Anh, can you stop the sharing, and then I can upload my, okay.
Sorry, my bad.
Oh, that's all right. That's what it should be. That's technology. Okay. Again, my great pleasure to be with you today. Okay. As Ngọc Anh has said, feel free to interact with me via the chat box, because if we let all the participants to use a microphone, and then it's going to be quite noisy. Okay. Thank you very much. During the webinar, we use a web address that you can see on the screen here now. This one is for us to work on a couple of activities during the webinar. Okay. So whenever we come to an activity that needs your interaction, you just feel free to go to this website, and then there will be links over there for you to go to respective activities. The link will also be put on in the chat box for your convenience. Okay, before we start, I would like to know a little bit about your abstract writing experience. So I put here a very simple question. What is your experience of abstract writing? A, never writing any abstract. B, writing some, but never submitting them. submitting a couple but being rejected. D, submitting some and accepted. And the last one, submitted many and generally being accepted. Okay, I would like to have a quick A, B, C, or D in the chat box, so that basically I can understand a little bit about your experience, so that I can tailor my talk a little bit to make it more suitable for your preference. Okay, so far I have a lot of B's, D, okay, D a lot, A, B, okay, B, A, all right, okay, all right, E, we also have an E here, okay, so we do even have experts here, so I hope that the experts can back me up if I slip of the tongue and then say something wrong. Okay, thank you very much for that. All right, I would like to be quite clear at the beginning that the workshop is basically for early career researchers, the people who have never done very much with the research paper writing. So it is like a simple guideline for people to step into the world of research and then academic activities. The objectives of the webinar today: one, I would like to share with you the structure of a conventional abstract. Again, it is a conventional abstract. That means there are different kinds of abstract around the world, and then there will be different requirements for different types of events. Like a conference A will require this kind of guidelines, and conference B will require some other things. So again, I'm talking about here this conventional abstract, and how to draft a proper abstract using the information provided, and then you also start to compose your own research abstract from your own research. And finally, I would like you to analyze, comment, and giving feedback on your colleagues' writing, colleagues' craft, so that they can use your comments and feedback to improve their abstracts. Again, writing is a journey, okay? And this journey has no actually final end. I have done some writing so far, and even though when I submitted it, it was accepted, it was published. But then when I read it again, I still want to make some changes. So again, the writing is a lot about development. So normally it only reflects your preference or your expertise at the time that you do the writing. And later, when you go to another one, go to a different level, and then you read more research, you know more about things, and then probably you are going to change what you have written so far. So that's all right. Okay, so be okay with the ongoing products. If you are not happy with your old writing, that's fine, and continue with your new writing. And I hope that the new writing will become better. Okay. All right. So here are some key steps that we are going to go through during the webinar today. So first of all, I talk about the importance of abstracts, the key elements of an abstract, the basic types of abstracts, crafting abstracts, developing abstracts, and finally revising abstracts. If we do not have enough time for the last section, probably I'm going to leave it there for you, and then if you can put any abstract version on the webinar website, and then I'm going to comment on it, and then together with other facilitators, we will try to give you some kind of feedback and hope that you can use it for the improvement of your version. Okay, first of all, I talk about the importance of the abstract. There are three key importance pieces that I would like to focus on here, simply because I think that simply because they are very primary, totally primary. Okay, the first abstract is always the first section to be read in a research document, apart from the title. So the abstract is the first one that people often read. The abstract is normally the first impression of the research quality. When people start to read a research paper, they look at the abstract, and then if the abstract is not properly written, and then maybe they don't have a very good impression on the quality of the research. Maybe the research is very good, but the abstract is not very well written, and that's why people may have a quite negative opinion on the quality of the research. And if we go to a conference normally, right, a normal conference, and then abstract and title are the only evidence that people use to make a decision whether they accept your abstract or they don't accept your abstract, right? So the abstract, the abstract wording is quite important in terms of reflecting the qualities of the research. All right, so the very simple question that I would like to respond to is, when do you think that researchers should start to write the abstract for their research? They should do it before conducting the research, or they should do it during the research, or they should do it after completing the research. I say here B, D, and A. You can say B for before, D for during, and A for after, to be quick. Okay. So we have here A. A lot of people agree that it should be A. All right, some say B. Okay, one say B, and we also have an A here. Okay, A, C. Okay, Thịnh say C. Okay. All right, so as I said at the beginning, okay, sometimes as I said at the beginning, writing is a process. Okay, and when it is a process, it is continuous. Okay, we can do the writing, we can do the abstract writing before we conduct the research. The purpose of that is to give us an idea, a clear plan about how our research will be. Okay, and what are the steps that we need to put in for our research to be conducted properly. But then maybe during our research, we make some changes and we realize that the procedures that we have already planned in advance do not work. So we have to revise it, right? So we come back, we keep track of that, we come back to our first version of the research, and then we do some kind of revision and make some changes on that. And then what happens is after completing the research, what happens if the results are different? Okay, if the results are different, and then we need to come back and change our abstract. So in other words, abstract writing can take place at any period of the research process. Okay, it can happen before. Sorry, not really can, but it should. Okay, the abstract writing should take place before the researcher conducting the research, but also during and after they have already completed the research, especially with research using the qualitative approach in which the researchers should not have any clear assumptions of the finding. And then certainly they cannot complete their abstract right at the beginning before conducting the research. Okay, so that's just a little bit of sharing about when we should start doing the abstract. Here we come to the key elements of an abstract. I'm going to put here some key elements some key elements that we often see in a research document. And I would like you to say which one you think that we should include in an abstract in the area of TESOL. Okay. Methodology, research questions, findings, objective, data analysis, rationale, implication, and literature review. These are all key important elements that we can always find in a research document. Okay, so I would like you to quickly say which one you prefer to include in the abstract. All right, maybe it's quite long, so it's difficult, but I would like to walk through this with you. Okay, let's have a look. The abstract below. Okay, for example, in the abstract, we see a sentence like this: the results suggest girls generally presented higher motivation levels than boys. Okay, so what should it be about? This one is about what? This one is about the objective of the study, or is it about the finding of the study? Okay, quickly, you say O for objective, F for finding. Okay, so finding, that's quite clear because we see it says the result. Okay, the results suggest that. So that's the findings. Okay, so I would like now I would like you to be with me to look through one abstract, the first one, the abstract, and then say what are the components included in this abstract. Okay, it is quite small. It's quite small, but I hope that you can have a look at that. I leave it for you for 1 minute to have a look at that in general. I will walk you through the abstract sentence by sentence very soon. Okay. You just look through to have a general idea about the study. You don't need to read word by word. Okay. Now I'm going to take you with me and then look at specific sentences. Okay, the first one, this is the first sentence. This abstract has 8 sentences, 8 or 9, around that. The first one is that this 3-year longitudinal study examines Taiwanese rural junior high school students' motivational changes regarding learning English. Okay. I would like you to say whether this is rationale, or is the objective of the study, or it is the research question. Rationale, objective, or research question. Okay. All right, we have a lot of experts over here. I can guess from the names. Okay, that's great. Okay, we can see here. This is here. I say this study examines this. This study investigates this. This study considers this, that. Okay, if it is the case, and then it should be the objective of the study. Okay, so first of all, we can see that the first sentence in this abstract is about the objective of the research. Okay, I will walk you to the second one. The second sentence from the abstract. The same questionnaire measuring their levels of motivation was conducted throughout 5 semesters across 3 school years. Okay, is it about the finding of the study? Is it about the objective or methodology? Okay, okay, methodology. Okay, very good. Okay. You are a lot better than I am. Thank you. Okay, we look at here, it talks about the questionnaire, right? It says the questionnaire. So certainly when it is about the questionnaire refers to the instrument, right? Refers to the instrument. And the instrument, so it should be the methodology. Okay. The next one. 7 motivational aspects, including intrinsic, extrinsic, task value, control beliefs, self-efficacy, expectancy, and test anxiety were measured each semester. Okay, is it about data analysis, literature review, or methodology? Literature review, data analysis, data analysis. Data analysis, data analysis. Okay, that's good. Why do you think that is data analysis? Okay, we look at here, it says word measured. Okay, it says that there are several things, okay, and then they were measured. Several things were measured. Okay, so does it say how the data were analyzed? Yes or no? Does it say that they use t-test, they use ANOVA, they use team, emerging teams, they use any kinds of any means of analysis? It does not say that. It just say that these things are measured. Okay, so where are these things from? Okay, these things, it says that 7 aspects. Where are the 7 aspects from? We say that, of course, these 7 aspects are from the literature review, but then it does not specifically say why there are these 6 things. Okay, sorry, 7. Why there are 7 aspects of motivation, and they don't say the similarities and differences among them. Okay, so they don't provide any analysis of these 7 motivational aspects. So that's not really about literature review. Okay. Well, the idea may come from the literature review, but it's not really from the literature review. It says word measured only. It does not say the means, okay, the specific test that people use to measure. Okay, so it just say word measure. So basically, it's not really about data analysis, but it is also not really about literature review. Okay, it says it measure A, B, C, or D. When we when we see things like the study measure A, B, C, D, okay, it should be the methodology. Okay, again, data analysis is part of methodology. Research question can also be part of methodology. Okay, well, in some research paper would like to put research question in a different section, and that's fine. But here, at least we can see that it's not very specifically about data analysis, because it does not say exactly the test are the means that people use to analyze the data. Okay, so it's more general. It's about methodology in general, rather than specific sections of data analysis. Okay. The next sentence. The overall findings suggest that these rural students started with higher level of intrinsic, extrinsic, and task-related motivation compared to the other motivational aspects. Also that girls generally presented higher motivation levels than boys. Okay, so it's about what? Okay, we have a couple of responses right away. Okay, you can even read a lot faster than I do. That's great. Okay, here, data analysis, finding, or methodology. Okay, that's very clear, right? It's a little bit, it's quite different from the previous sentence. So you all agree that that's finding, because we have the word findings right here. Okay, the overall findings suggest. Okay, there are two things that we need to consider because of the word suggest. Okay, suggest, it says the findings suggest, and the findings implies. Okay, some people use the word suggest in a different way. Okay, say the overall, the findings suggest this. Maybe they talk about the findings, but if they say the findings suggest this and that, this here is not really about the study. It can be about the implication, right? So here it says the findings suggest that these rural students started with higher level of intrinsic, extrinsic. So they report what? The researchers reported the result. Okay, it's not really about implication, because they don't talk about anything beyond their study. They say that these rural students started with higher levels of intrinsic motivation, right? If it is about the implication, and then they don't say very much about these rural students, they will talk about rural students in general, because it is how they want to make the implication for the study. Maybe, okay, it is one way of doing it. But here it comes, the details here come directly from the study. So it is about the findings rather than the implication. Okay, we go to the next one. More generally, the students reported mid to low level motivation, which indicated that rural students' EFL motivation would decrease during their school years. Okay, data analysis, finding, implication. Implication, okay, implication. Okay, implication, finding, okay, finding, implication. Okay, now we go to a stage which is a little bit more confusing, right? We see that here, the key word for us to see, it says, yeah, okay, it says students reported, sorry, not my, sorry, my, yes, my too low. Okay, students reported, it says student reported, okay, student reported this and that. So it is not about the implication. The implication should come from the voice of the researcher, not come from the voice of the participant. So this one comes from the participant. So it should be the findings. It should not be the implication. All right, and we also have an idea from the chat box saying that it should be the data analysis. Okay, if it comes from the data analysis, and then it should say very specifically, the means of analysis. Okay, yeah, quite confusing. Yes, it should say things like it should say things like the t-test shows that blah, blah, blah. Okay. If here we can see that rural students' motivation should decrease during their school years. Okay. So it should say things like a t-test was conducted to compare A and B, and it shows that A has a higher level of B. Things like that. And then it's more about data analysis. Okay. But here, it is not very specifically about how they analyze the data. So it's not really about data analysis. It's more about the general conclusion from the data analysis. So it's more with the findings. Okay. So again, it's the finding. Okay. Again, if it is the implication, and then what? It should come from the voice of the researchers rather than from the voice of the participant. Okay. Even though it says which indicated that, but indicated here just say which shows that. Okay. If we say that it's which implies, okay. If we say which implies education should do this, should do that, and then it is about the implication. Okay. So the which indicated that, the second part of the sentence here is just to paraphrase the first part of the sentence. The next sentence. The results suggest both English teacher and homeroom teacher appear to play vital roles in affecting rural students' motivation. Okay, we have a data analysis, finding, implication, finding, implication. Okay. Okay, implication, finding, implication, finding. All right. We have here the results suggest. Okay. If we look at the way that this researcher used the word suggest, and then we may probably guess that it is the finding. It's not really the implication. But here, at least at the moment, in this abstract, we cannot know very clearly if it is the result or it is the implication. Why is it the case? Because the researcher used the word appear to play, okay? Appear to play vital roles. So it's not very clear whether the vital roles here comes exactly from the participant or the idea comes from the researcher. It's not quite clear, at least in this abstract. Well, of course, when we look at the whole paper, we will know right away, okay, whether the researchers collected data on this or not. If the researchers collected data on this, and then it must be the findings. But if the researchers didn't collect data for this one, it's just the idea from the researcher that that are generated. The idea from the researcher is generated from the findings, and then it should be the implication. Okay, but later if you look at that, and then you can see that it is the finding. Okay, but again, at this stage, when we look at the abstract, we may say that it's not clear whether it's about the finding or about the implication. Okay. All right. I think that this one is the second last. Okay. Such findings signal a need for English teachers and educational authorities to consider the methods used for both developing and improving rural students' motivation to learn English throughout their junior high school years. Okay, data analysis, finding, implication. Implication. Oh yes, that's great. I think that it is quite. We have quite a big agreement with one another. All right. It says such findings signals a need. So the need here is not from the participant. Okay, the participants of the study, they say something, they do something, and now the author says that we need to do this, we need to do that. Okay, so it's a signals a need for English teachers and educational authority. You can see that it talk about English teachers and educational authority in general. It's not like in the previous sentence we say, they say these English rural students, right? So the implication will talk about something in something general for a broader context. Okay, so this is very clear about the implication. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the last one. Other factors, including gender and English engagement after school, were also found to be effective. Okay? Data analysis, finding implication. Okay, all right. It says that finding, okay. Some what says data analysis. Okay, again, I would like to say again that data analysis is part of research methodology. Okay, and the data analysis that I would like to talk about here is specific tests or specific teams or specific means that people use to deal with the data rather than the findings. Okay, rather than the outcome of the analysis. So we can see that other factors, including gender, were also found. Say were also found. Okay, so if we do a study and we find out something, it should be the findings. It should not be the implication. Okay, very good. Okay, next one. I think that this one is the last one. This study also suggests practical recommendations for English learning and teaching in rural Taiwanese high schools, which may be effective in other EFL contexts. Okay. Objective, finding, implication. Implication. Okay. All right, it's very good because we have the keyword here says recommendation. Okay. These studies also suggest practical recommendation. You can see that here the author uses the word suggest again, but suggest here is about recommendation. Suggest here is not about findings. Okay. Okay. I will mention this one later toward the end of our webinar. But what I would like to you to pay attention to is to have a look at this sentence again, and you can see that what it means nothing. You look at here, a lot of text. Okay, you can see a lot of text over there. The sentence is quite long, but it means nothing. It does not say anything. It says this study also suggests practical recommendations. What recommendations? Nothing. Which may be effective in other EFL contexts or even in Taiwanese high school. So what is it? We say recommendations. What are the recommendations? We learn nothing from this sentence. Okay. So you can see that later we talk about this one, but this one is an example of redundancy in abstract writing. Because it means nothing. It provides no information, no useful information to the readers. Okay, we often see this one in most of the abstract, even though we publish abstract. Later, when you look at this abstract, you can see that this one, this research was published in Asia TESOL, so very famous journal. But then you here and there we can always see things like this. Okay. All right. Now we go to the second. Just a summary. So now I would like you to look at here as a summary. So what are the sections? What are the elements that we have seen in this abstract? Okay. Which one? So first one, we see abstract. Okay. And second, we see methodology. All right. And then we see findings. And then we see implication. Okay. We do not see a lot of data analysis. We seen the literature review a little bit, but it's more with the findings, okay, rather than the literature review. Okay. So far we have objective, finding, implication, and methodology in this one. Okay. In the first abstract. Okay. Now we go. No, I mean this one is just for the abstract one. You see, I can see Thanh Thủy say all but research question. But here I just say that we look at the first abstract only. Okay, so this is the abstract one only. Okay. Now I would like you to have a look at abstract 2. Okay, and the same things. Okay, the same thing. Again, I would like to remind you that research question can be part of methodology and data analysis can be part of methodology. Okay. We will go to the second abstract. Okay, and then I would like you to look through it first before I continue. Okay, so the first one, I would like you to go to the URL over there and you look at task 2. Okay. Okay, the link is in the chat box. Okay, you can click there. You will go to the abstract 2. It is quite long. Okay. 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 So I would like you to go to this one and have a look at that. Okay. Have a look at the whole abstract. And then there is a simple task after that. Okay, so if you go to task 2, you will see this one. Okay, you will see the abstract here, and then in the abstract, toward the end of the abstract, it has a simple question for you. So if you see any element included in this abstract, you just click on it and then hit submit. Okay, and then I'm going to share with you the result. I'm going to leave this around 2 minutes for you, okay, to look through this abstract. It's very short. It's only 4 sentences. Yeah, I think that some of you are still working on it. Okay, so probably if you have not finished, and then you can just click something and then have a look at the results on the screen. Okay, this is what I have seen from you. So it seems that most of you agree that it's in the rationale. Okay, we have 3 members as objectives, findings. We have 8, implication, yeah, research questions, 2 here, literature review 2. Methodology, say 2 and 9. Okay, literature review 3. Data analysis 2. Okay, I just do the refresh for the last time. Yeah, so we can see that in general, most of you agree that it has rationale, it has findings, it has implication, it has a methodology. Okay, all right. So now we're going to look at that one by one. Okay, just look at the questions one by one. Sorry, the abstract. Sorry. Okay. We look at the first sentence. It says, although the importance of critical thinking has been stressed in English language education, little attention has been paid to language teachers' perceptions and experiences regarding critical thinking during the pre-service stage of their careers. Okay. We can see that it say here, the first one is say, although. Okay. It say, although, and then it say, little attention has been paid to. Okay. So, is it about, okay, first of all, rationale here, I use the word rationale, but you can also replace the word rationale by motivation, the motivation for the research, or you can use a research gap or anything, okay? So, or you can even use the introduction, okay? That's the introduction to the research. So, although the importance of critical thinking has been stressed, little attention has been paid to. Okay, so is it about what? Is it about? Okay. Obviously, it's not about methodology, right? Okay. It's more with the, yeah, okay. It's more with the rationale. Okay. At the same time, it is obviously about the rationale. Okay. However, if the second part of the sentence becomes the main focus of the study, and then it is also the objective of the study. All right. In other words, the author put both rationale and objective in the same sentence. It's not very clear if this one is objective, but if we look at the context of this one, and then this is exactly the objective of the study. Okay, so it does not say this study focuses on the teacher's perceptions and experiences, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but yes, it's part of the rationale, but that part of the rationale becomes the objective of the study. All right. The second sentence. Drawing on data from a focus group and follow-up email interviews with pre-service language teachers, this study shows that the participants had a limited understanding of critical thinking and lacked preparation and support in their programs regarding how to implement critical thinking oriented teaching practices. Okay, keywords for this one. Methodology, data analysis. Okay, you should say, we have here focus group, right? First of all, we have focus group, and then we have a follow-up email interviews, right? So it's about what? Okay, yeah, we have a focus group on follow-up email interview, so it is really about methodology. Okay, but then after that, it says this study shows that. Okay, so this study shows that it should be the findings as well. Okay, so first it's about, the first part is about methodology, but the second part is about finding. Okay, we go to the next one. Okay, the findings also reviewed a range of individual and contextual challenges faced by the participants when they try to integrate critical thinking into their language teaching. Okay, data analysis, finding, implication. Okay, most of you agree that that's a finding, right? Okay, I couldn't agree with you more. Okay. All right. We have here say the findings also reviewed a range of individual and contextual challenges. Okay. Again, it's a the authors use the word reviewed, and then if it is reviewed, it is really about the participants' ideas or the participants' comments. It's not really from the researchers. Okay, so that's the findings. All right, the last sentence. The study concludes with recommendations on how to cultivate a critical mindset among language teachers while developing critical thinking oriented pedagogy. Okay, this one is also quite clear, right? It has the word, the study concludes with recommendation. So yes, it's about implication of the study. Okay, so far, very good. Okay, just sum up. So here we can see that in this one, in this abstract, it has rationale, objective, methodology, findings, and implication. So the first abstract does not have the rationale, but this one has the rationale. Okay. So in general, we look at here, we can see that it has rationale, objective, finding, implication, methodology. I will talk a little bit about why not research question, why not literature review, and why not data analysis. Okay. First of all, research question. Research question is actually a specific version of the objective. So if we put the objective in the abstract already, we don't need to repeat it, or we don't need to paraphrase it by inserting the research question. And that's why research questions are normally not included in the abstract. The second one, literature review. It's different from one guidelines, one requirements to another requirements from different activities. Again, different journals, book chapters, different conferences, etc. But the reason that people do not often include literature review is because if they include the literature review, they have to include the citation, the references. And if they include the references into the abstract, and then they have to include the reference in the end of the abstract, and then it will become difficult for the publication. Let's look at the publications of abstracts around. Normally people don't, I say again, normally, okay? Normally, conventionally, people don't include literature review in there, okay? The reason for that is only because of the publication issues, okay? It would be very difficult for them to publish the abstract together with the reference list, okay? The data analysis. The data analysis sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not there, okay? But we can see the data analysis sometimes in the methodology. So sometimes they use t-test, sometimes they say they use t-test, sometimes they don't say anything about that, okay? Team analysis or content analysis or whatever is there, okay? Sometimes they don't say it. Even though if they say it or they don't say it, it's not really important because the data analysis can be part of methodology, okay? And that's why I put here both of them, okay? So what should be the order of this one, okay? The first one is what? Of course, when we start to do something, the first one should be the rationale, right? We should start with the rationale, and then we say the objectives. So what is the context? What is the motivation for our study? And then what should be the objective of our study? What do we want to do? And then how we are going to do it? Methodology. And then what are our findings of the study? And finally, what should be the implication? Okay. Again, I would like to confirm with you again that this is a kind of conventional abstract. Again, that is in general. It is not applicable for all conferences, for all journals. No. Okay. Later, when we look at other facilitators who share their experience, you can see the differences. Okay. All right. I come to. I'm very mindful of the time. I have around 5 minutes left, so I will try to be quick. Okay. 3 types. Okay. I would like you to pay attention to this one because they are. In general, there are 3 types of abstract. And the abstract that we are talking about here is the informative abstract. The kind of abstract, which is between 150 words to around 300 words, one page. So this kind of abstract includes the objective, methodology, results, conclusion, and recommendation, okay, normally. But I'm not talking about the descriptive abstract or the critical abstract, okay? The descriptive abstract is normally for the ongoing research, okay? If we do some kind of research and we do not have the findings yet, okay? So what happens in conference presentation is if we are doing some kind of research and would like to take that idea to present at the conference so that people can have some ideas about that, okay? People can look at that and they say, oh, you should change this one may be good, or maybe you need to consider this one, consider that one, okay? Or they can share their own ideas. They say that I'm also doing some similar research, and then I have this problem, I have that problem, so that you can learn from that. So that's what they call descriptive abstract. Okay. The critical abstract is an extended version of the informative abstract. So they do the abstract, but they also do an extended comment on that. So they give very critical comments on the abstract. Normally, we don't do this kind of things in conference presentations or an empirical research. Normally, people do critical abstract if it is, they call it art. Okay, they call it what? State of art review. Okay, so when they do state of art review, it is a very substantial, big review on an area of research, and that's why they do a lot of critical comments in the end. Okay, now I would like you to walk with me through the first practice. Okay. Okay, here I'm going to provide you with all the details from a study, and then I would like you to draft the details, put them together to make an abstract. Okay. First of all, this research is to understand youth level of using English online and activities of using English online and classroom attitudes. So 3 things. The researchers would like to look at the levels of using English online and the types of activities that the students use English online and the classroom attitudes. Okay, so three main variables. Okay, the method, mixed method with 56 item survey and the interview. Okay. Participant, 308 participants in the survey, 4 in the interview, and they are university students in a big city. Okay. The findings, it shows that students, they prefer entertainment and self-instruction activities rather than social activities. Okay, and there is a positive correlation between activities and attitudes, but not for all. Okay, and the conclusion is we need to integrate online informal EFL learning into classroom activities. Okay, so if you look at the webinar website, you will be able to see all of these details, and then together with the comment section after that, and then you can draft and you draft your maybe not the whole abstract, just a sentence for the objective, or a sentence for the method, or a sentence for the participants, for example, and then that's fine. Okay, now I'm going to turn to the website. Okay, the website, the webinar, and then you will see it. If you come to the website, also the link in the chat box, I hope. You go to writing practice number 1. And then it comes to this one, here all the details. Okay, all the details that I have just showed on the screen. And here, if you want to write your abstract, you just put a draft here in the end. It has the comment here. You just write your abstract here. Okay. Okay, because there have been some, versions of you who have already done over here. Thank you very much for your draft here. I'm going to look at some of them together with you. Okay, because we have a problem with time. Okay, I will do the refresh often. Okay, first of all, it says that look at the first sentence. It says the aim of this paper is to investigate the relationship between youth levels as well as activities of using English online and their classroom attitudes. Okay, so you see that the author, Phương Thu, thank you very much, Phương Thu, have this sentence. Okay, so it includes the 3 variables, right? The 3 key variables here. So that's good. But if you look at this one, and then you can see that there is some repetition over here. It said that the aim of this paper. Okay, if we have an aim already, and then we say is to. Okay, we know that is to or be to verb. It is to talk about the purpose, right? So if we use the word am here already, we don't need to use is to. Right? In other words, we cannot delete is to, so we should delete am to save time. Sorry, to save space. To save space. You know that the context of the abstract is that it's very time limited, space limited. So we always need to be careful with this one. So if you say this paper investigates the relationship, and then that's done. Okay, we don't need the word is to, we don't need the word am. Okay, if you use the word am and then say this paper aims to investigate, or because aim and investigate is quite similar. Paper means research paper. Any research paper should investigate something, right? So it's quite similar. But if you say this paper is to understand, for example, well, understand, it's not very much different from research, okay, understand. But then you can see that at least it's not quite repetitive, okay? So you can shorten this a little bit, okay? The relationship between youth levels as well as activities using English online and their classroom attitudes, okay? So you can see that we use the word as well as a little bit early here. Youth levels, activities using online. We can see that it's quite tricky because you can see that it says, it talks about here the levels of using activities, right? The levels of using English online, sorry. The levels of using English online and the activity types, the types of activities of using English online, and then the classroom attitude. So I think that if we put youth here, it's quite difficult because it's too far from the rest, okay? If we put youth here, we need also put youth before activity types, okay? So I would say, because it has three, and then using on English online here is repeated. So I would say that probably we move youth toward the end. So the last one is we say among youth or among Indonesian youth, for example. And then we put A, B, and C. Okay, so here that is levels of using English online, level of using English online, comma, and then types of activities, types of online, okay, types of English using activity, okay, types of English using activity, types of online English using activity, for example. And then and classroom attitudes among Indonesian youth, for example. Because later we will have the word in Indonesian somewhere, okay, or among youth, okay, or among youth, among city youth, or among urban youth, for example, okay. The study employed a mixed method of 56 item survey and interview, okay. We can see that this one is about methodology. This is very good, okay. This is very good. But say interview here, and then I think that we need to say a 56 item survey. So we should say a 56 item survey and an interview. Is it an interview or many interviews? Okay, I think that is an interview. So we say an interview. If many, and then we need to put plurals here. Okay. The word employ, where people always say that employ is a magic word. Okay. So when we talk about methodology, people often use the word employed instead of the word use, because employ is longer, maybe. But employ sounds very academic. It's different from the word use, which is often used in daily language. Okay. But I would say that this sentence is good, but I would say that it is a little bit short. Okay, it is a little bit short. If we have a short sentences, we will have a problem with workout. Okay, short. So that's why we need to put more ideas into the sentences so that our abstract will become shorter. Specifically, 308 university students in a big city took part in the survey, while 4 were interviewed. Okay, I would say that this sentence is good, but the problem with this one is the word while. Okay, it's not while, it is and. Okay, so we have this one 308 students and 4 in the interview. Okay, so we can see that if we can put these two sentences together. Okay, say the study employed a mixed method. Instead of say employ a mixed method, that's okay. But now we have 308 students over there. So I should say I might say the study conducted. Okay, the study conducted a mixed method of 56 items of a 56 item survey with 308 university students in a big city. Okay, I will move the word big city toward the end because the four students here, they are also in big cities, right? So the study conducted, or instead of the study, I put the word study here at first. So this paper, I say this study, okay, this study. And then here I use it, okay. So we will save some words. So it employed a mixed method, okay, a mixed method of a 56 item survey with 308 university students and an interview with 4 students. We repeat the word students, so we might need to change it a little bit. With 4 of them. Okay, the interview here, the 4 students here, they are not different from the 308 students in the survey. So we have to say that the study conducted a mixed method, or maybe we just delete the word mixed method. You know why we need to delete the word mixed method? Because we talk about survey and interview. If we talk about survey and interview together, that is a mixed method already. So we don't need to use the word mixed method. So we can say that the study conducted a 56 item survey with 308 university students and what? And okay, it's 308 students in a big city, and 4 of them were interviewed. Okay, so basically you have all the details. You have a 56 item, you have the survey, you have an interview, you have a mixed method. You don't say it, but it's there. Okay, you have a big city as well. All right, so I'm not going to be in all the details because we are running out of time. So I just stop here, and I hope that I would be able to make comments, and some of you can make comments as well. Please also, on together with facilitator, we will make comments on these pieces of writing. Okay, and I hope that Tu Phương should be very proud that you have already helped us to analyze your draft. Okay, don't worry and don't ever feel hurt if you think that, oh, okay, my draft does not look good and then it is in public. No, it is part of the writing journey. Okay, as I shared before. One of Tam Trang talked about the word deploy. the word deploy sounds to be too technical. Okay. And then in social sciences, I don't think that people like it. Okay, it is for maybe deploy a platform or things like it's too technical. Okay. All right. So I come back to my slides, and then I will try to finish the last one. So basically, in the draft tool. In the practice tool, if you can see from the website, you will see that I'm going to put things over there, and then you can write your own research. Okay, sorry, your own research abstract. I go to the last part, the general advice. Okay, first of all, concise. Okay, second, structure. Structure means well structured, connected, and no redundancy and no extra information. Concise, okay, normally 200 words. Well, it depends on the conference, but it can be 250 words, it can be 300 words, it can be 150 words only. In some references, in some conferences, people only ask for 100 words abstract. Okay, in some others they only ask for 70 words. Okay, so very conscious of that, be conscious of that. Structure. Remember that we understand our research very well, of course, because we do it, we live it, we live with it, we sleep with it, we dream with it all the time. Okay, so we understand it very well, but it's not what other people. Okay, other people, when they look at when they look at our research, it is new to them, so they do not understand it very well. That's why we need to be very clear which one is the rationale, which one is the objective, which one is the method, which one is the finding. Okay, so that people can understand our research better. Again, a good piece of research is a research which can be read by many people. Okay, if we have a very good piece of research, but then only a few people look at that, and then I'm not quite sure. But at least the contribution, the significance of the research is limited. Okay, connected. All right, make sure you have that. Okay, no redundancy. This is the one that I mentioned before. Okay, don't put in the general statement like this research provides a lot of useful implications for further research. Okay, so what is it? What are the implications? Okay, nothing at all. And no extra information. Don't include any details which are not included in your research in the abstract. Okay, the abstract is only about your paper. You can include the implication, but the implication must be significantly driven by the findings from your research. Okay, avoid, general advice, avoid repeating the title. You have the title already, so don't repeat the title. If you repeat the title, it counts the word. So you lose some words in your abstract. So don't repeat the title. Don't include citation. Again, conventional, all right? It's not always. If a conference asks you to include the citation and the references, and then please do it. But in general, we don't do it. See, especially in IPA, okay, because of the publication methods. And then don't use any abbreviation in your abstract. You use jargon, you use abbreviation. People, they don't understand it because the reviewers, they may come from a different areas of expertise, and then they may not like it. All right, that's all for me. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much for your contribution with a lot of interaction so far. I'm going to stop this one and leave the space to the main facilitator. Feel free to comment or to leave your draft on the webinar website so that we can share together the ideas. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Đặng Tấn Tín, for very wonderful sharing. I have learned a lot from you, even though I have participated and presented in more than 20 international conferences. And actually, I just opened my notes that I listed a lot of abstracts that I got for the conferences. But after hearing your sharing, actually, I really want to close it down for myself. Just kidding. Oh, okay. But actually, yeah, really appreciate your sharing. I really want to move on to other facilitators, and we can learn a lot from them as well, from their own experiences. So let me introduce the first facilitator today, who will share with us her own experiences. Ms Nhung. Yeah, and then Ms. Nhung will introduce herself to us. Yeah. Ms. Nhung, do you hear me well?
Maybe Ms. Nhung cannot unmute herself. I'm trying to find her in the list of the participants.
Nhung can unmute yourself now.
All right, that's great.
Okay, I'm
Thanks
here.
so much,
Thank you.
Nhung.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Tín, for such a wonderful presentation. And today, I would like to introduce myself. I am Phạm Nhung. I am a primary teacher of English currently working in Quang Binh province. And to be honest, I'm very impressed by the presentation.
Ms. Nhung, I'm sorry to interrupt, but please share your slides.
I'm sharing it.
See it? Slideshow, please.
Ms. Nhung, I think that maybe all the participants, including me, maybe wants to see your face a little bit first before you share your screen. Is that okay? If you just introduce a little bit about just maybe some sentences about yourself, so that everyone can look at your face first, and then we jump to the sharing. I think.
Can you see me?
Yes, yes. Because when you share the slide, no one can see your face except
okay.
your voice.
Okay. Thank you for having me here, and thank you, Dr. Tín, for just such informative and wonderful presentation. I am Phạm Nhung. I'm very lucky to be here with you today. I'm a primary teacher of English in Quang Binh province, and I would like to share my slide now. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You.
Okay. And please put it on the slideshow.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome.
Okay. And to be honest, when it's come to writing conventional abstract, I was scared because I'm not a real researcher. So I'm here today to share some experiences to those who are still afraid of writing conventional abstract. So, off the top of my head, there was a big questions. Can I do it? Can a teacher of English with no experiences on doing researches write successful conventional abstracts? And the answer for myself is yes. But I'm not doing it on my own. I got this big support from my mentors and VietTESOL. For my personal process of writing a conventional abstract, first of all, I come up with my own ideas. Then I state my research questions. Second of all, it's come down to writing process. That is when I got confused because I don't know what word choice should I use, or word limits, or should I follow the theme of the abstract? Or even if I write down, would it be accepted by the organizer of the conferences? So I asked for help. So luckily I got the big support from my mentors and from VietTESOL. Thanks to their comments and feedbacks, or should I say feed forward, they helped me a lot. And I upgraded the research of mine, then edited several times to get the final successful draft. That circle goes around like over 8 or 10 times. So as you can see, along with my self-editing process, there is this big support of my mentors from VietTESOL. And thanks to them, I got successfully submitted and presented poster presentation in those conventions. Let me tell you my own story as a teacher researcher. It started at the 3rd International Convention of VietTESOL in Ho Chi Minh City in 2017. Back then, my wonderful mentor was Ms Nguyễn. She is a senior lecturer of TESOL at Hanoi University of Science and Technology. She is also a director board member of VietTESOL. She helped me a lot with my abstract. Back then, my abstract was focusing on using visual to teach vocabulary to young learners, a case study for the 4th graders in my school. So that was my very first time. So the revision time is like more than 10. By emailing her, I got the feedback, the feed forwards, and I edited. She helped me edit it, upgraded the form of abstract, word choice, word limit, grammar mistakes, citation rules. Especially, she sent me the grant application information from Brillo, and luckily I got the grant and presented successfully in the convention. So for my latest convention, my latest abstract was for the 5th International Convention of VietTESOL in 2019 in Hue City. My wonderful mentor back then was Ms Nguyễn. She is with us today. She is a lecturer of Hanoi University of Education, and she is also a PhD student at Monash University. She was very supportive and really interactive with my abstract. My abstract was focusing on using portfolio to assess young learners' language ability. And thanks to my mentor and my co-workers, the revision time was reduced to 8. I also connected with my mentor by email, and she supported me a lot with the form of abstract, word choice, word limit, grammar mistakes, citation rules. Especially my most difficult point is writing style, because when it comes to academic writing, I was very confused, and she helped me to paraphrase, to rephrase the sentences, send me the link for references and citations. Thank a lot. So thank a lot to my mentors. I got the successful submission. So some may wonder, how can I be so lucky to get such wonderful mentors? I have to admit that I am lucky, because my first ever mentor was Ms Nguyễn. She was also the trainer of a training program in Quang Binh province. So I got her email, I emailed her, and I stated my problems. For the second time, I emailed Ms Nguyễn, and she set me up with Ms Nguyễn, because there was a mentoring program in VietTESOL. So you can just simply check out the website of VietTESOL, VietTESOLassociation.org, or join the Facebook page of VietTESOL. You will definitely meet your mentor, because there is a mentoring program for you. So finally, my point is, also my favorite quotation is, if you want to do it right, you don't have to do it yourself, because there are professionals out there always ready to help. If you want to write a successful conventional abstract, you can ask for the support, especially from VietTESOL, and you can learn a lot from Mr. Tín presentation today. And if you have the idea, just write down, let professionals help you to get to upgrade it. And I am a true example for being mentored successfully. And thank you for your listening. That's it for me today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Nhung, for your sharing. And then we can learn about how to reach a mentor from her own experience. Just let's go to VietTESOL.org and then reach out their wonderful mentors like Ms. Đâm Trang or Ms. Hạnh Đào. Okay, so let's move on to the next facilitator today, Ms. Cúc, right? And Ms. Cúc, and then she will share with us a different story. Okay, Ms. Cúc, welcome you to the board.
Yeah, Cúc, you can unmute your micro.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Cúc. I'm from Nha Trang University. It's my honor to be here today and share with you some experience of writing abstract to ThaiTESOL conferences. So may I share my screen now? As a person who have who wrote an abstract to ThaiTESOL conference and got accepted, today I would like to share with some experiences that I had, and I hope that they may be useful to you. First of all, I would like to talk a little bit about ThaiTESOL conference. Of course, as is its name, so ThaiTESOL conference, it must be organized in Thailand, right? And if you are, lucky to get accepted, you can go there and join the conference. Also, combined with traveling, so to get a great experience. This conference is a prestigious conference which has been organized for 40 times, and the latest conference was in January and February this year. If you want to know some information, or if you want to apply, if you want to submit the abstract for this conference, it is very simple. You will need to go to Google, and you will search ThaiTESOL conference, and there won't be a lot of websites, but when you see this website relating to Thailand TESOL, they will guide you a lot of information, such as relating to the call for proposal, the submission deadline, submission type, some like notification of acceptance, and you can check your results as well. I was lucky to get accepted in the 37 conference. So it was in 2017, and I was so lucky to get funded by RELO as well. Normally, the key dates that you should remember is this conference will open for abstract from May to August. So you have to make sure. That you will write and submit the abstract before the end of August. or the submission deadline here, you see by the end of August. They will notify you or they will send you email if your abstract is accepted or not around 2 or 3 weeks after the submission deadline. It means around September, the end of September. And if you get submitted, so you should be well prepared and you go to the conference at in January and February in the next year. I also have some of my friends, are going to write the abstract, writing the abstract to this conference, but unluckily they got rejected. I told them to send me their abstract, and I also make some analysis. I also refer to some website on the internet, and personally I could find out some common errors of the unaccepted abstract in this conference. The first common error is that it's not relevant to the theme. Each conference has its own theme, especially like you can look at this one. For example, this one is the latest conference, and each theme is harmony in diversity, ELT and transcultural society. So what you need to do is you have to make sure that your abstract has some link to the big theme here, that is diversity, or like cultural diversity, or transcultural society. Of course, they will give you a list of sub-theme, and what you need to do is to make sure that your project, your abstract, your study belongs to one of these themes. Why? Because each year they will focus on one theme, and if your research or your study does not belong to that theme, they have to give their floor to other abstracts. So it means you will lose the chance. So the first key is that you have to make sure that your research is relevant to the theme, to the big theme. And second is, I think the second error is that the title is not catchy enough. To some conference, such as ThaiTESOL Conference or CAN-TESOL, for example, they just ask you to submit the abstract rather than several page full paper. So they will look at the title first, and the title will make a lot of impression to the readers, such as the conference reviewers, or maybe your college or the other researcher. So they want to make sure that there won't be many people coming to your presentation in the conference. In order to make your title more catchy, so you have to use a lot of active verbs. This is my title for that conference. That is developing oral skill of English for non-major students in Nha Trang University through students' self-prepared warm-up activities. So maybe sometimes we have to use some big words or very attractive words like oral skills or non-major students, or like self-prepared warm-up activities like that, to make it sounds really attractive or sounds really catchy. Okay, that is the second one. We move to the third part. It is, I think Dr. Tín mentioned already, that is the word limit. You have to follow the guidelines. You have to cling to the guideline to make sure that your abstract is not too short. I know that we have so many things to write in the abstract, just like as we mentioned already, the rationale, the objectives, the methodology or findings or implication. So you may think that, okay, I can write 151 words, but no, even though that one word, it is one word, but they won't count the words, right? And it is the easiest way to reject the abstract. So make sure that you will follow the word limit and don't exceed the word limit. Next one, I'm not sure if I should say it is disorganized or unstructured. Or unstructured, because you have to make sure that your abstract has enough parts, just like you need to have either the rationale, objective, or methodology, or findings. I mean, you need to have at least 4 or 5 parts, right? And even implication as well. So make sure that you have all. I would like to share with you here some example here. So this is my abstract. I'm not sure it's an excellent one, because after listening to Dr. Tín, I find it, you know, a little bit worry when you look back. Now, for the first part here, I mentioned the rationale, right? And then I mentioned the objectives. Next one is methodology and also the findings, sorry. So yeah, we make sure that we have enough parts and they are well organized. I think the biggest problem for all of you, for all the writers who write abstract for the first time is having some language problems. You can have many kinds of mistakes, just like grammar mistakes or vocabulary, the mistakes in terms of vocabulary, or using the wrong term or wrong terminology in research. So maybe the readers will understand in different ways. I mean, like very different, different from the one you expected them to understand. So in order to avoid this one, so you need a lot of addition, or you need your friends, maybe your college, or maybe as your mentors, as mentioned by Ms Nhung, right? Your mentor will help you to revise your abstract. I think one part in ThaiTESOL or like some other conference, they will require you to write keywords. You have to write the abstract, the title, yes, the abstract, yes, but you also need to mention the keywords. The keywords here help you to represent the content, and also the keywords help to attract the reader as well. So you need to write some keywords in the separate lines, you know, in front of or behind the abstract. So you can look at the keywords here. Just like this one, so I have some keywords like warm-up activity. So for example, some teachers, teacher, researcher, or some college want to hear some sharing about warm-up activities, or like oral skills, or related to non-major students, so they won't come to your sharing or your presentation. Yeah, learners' autonomy. And this one, the last one, maybe just for ThaiTESOL conference, because you know, if your study is not an empirical study, or in other words, if your study doesn't have results or findings, or your study is just like an ongoing study, you haven't get the results or yet. So it is difficult to be accepted in this conference. So what you need to do is make sure that it is an empirical study, and you should show the methodologies and also the findings. The most important is findings in your abstracts. I also know some other another conference, that is TESOL Conference. You don't, in this conference, you don't need to have an empirical study, but like sharing experience, or like it's related more to theoretical. It's okay in TESOL, but in ThaiTESOL, they tend to prefer empirical study with the results or with the findings. So in short, I guess that we need to make sure that if you want your abstract to be accepted, you have to follow the theme or guidelines at the beginning. You know, right at the first time you look at the announcement, you have to look at the themes and make sure to cling to the guidelines and follow them. You also need to have a catchy title, and you need to organize the components well, as you know, like guided by Dr. Tín before, right? You need to revise grammar, vocabulary, revise the keywords, and you need some mentors or some colleagues or some friends to help you. Also, you don't exceed the word limit, and the most important thing is you have to submit on time. So those are some of my experience. Thank you very much for your listening.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Cúc, for your very interesting sharing and useful sharing. So we learned some information about how to send an abstract to ThaiTESOL Conference. And thank you for sending a lot of interesting questions in the chat box and in the website. Please make sure that if you have any question, you can just send in, continue to sending in the chat box or sending in private message to Ms. Tâm Trang, who is the secretary of the webinar today. I would like to move on to the next facilitator. She is very, you know, I think she's quite a daring K-12 teacher, and I really enjoy her talk I think that in VietTESOL Conference in 2017. She's from Tây Bắc, and then I would like to welcome Ms Nga, okay, from Tây Bắc, to share with us your own experience with VietTESOL Conference. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for the wonderful sharing of Mr. Đặng Tấn Tín and Ms. Cúc and Ms. Nhung. To be honest, a lot of things have been acquired by me today. And today, I'm going to talk about my own experiences when writing an abstract for the conference presentation. Can I share my screen now?
Yes, please.
Yes, thank you. Okay, my name is Đào Thúy Nga. I'm from Quyet Thang Secondary School, CLaSIC. Okay, right. And I'm going to talk about the step when writing an abstract. When I got the official announcement of VietTESOL calling for paper and abstract, I read the announcement thoroughly and paid attention to the theme and the object of the convention, highlighted the topic in which I have got strong opinion and would like to share at the conference presentation. And this sample, this is my present at the third International Convention in Taiwan in 2017. I shared my experiences about teaching phrasal verb for the 9th grade at my school. Having captured the topic, I started visualizing what I am going to write and present at the present context, at the present. Yeah, and I took quick notes with all the ideas I came up with and added more detail after the second thought. I made questions for myself to search for, such as what are the phrasal verbs, how to form them, how important are they in English, and the most important question is that why do English language learners find them difficult to acquire, and how can they integrate with other skills to learn? And I also made a list of experiences in teaching phrasal verb I often do at my school, such as gesture, imagination, grammar, HR, and situation. After that, I shared my idea with my colleagues who have got strong opinion and be interested in this topic. They may give me some idea how to engage students to learn phrasal verb naturally, easily, and meaningful. They gave me some books to read and some websites to search for. And these are the books I have read. The first is How to Teach Vocabulary, which is guided by Mrs. Hương Quyện, and the other is the phrasal verb idiom. The two websites I often read and search genres are American English and Arab words. Before writing, I put the new information from my search into my notes. Arrange the idea from the most important to the least. Sometimes I have to crop out some of them. I think about the format of the abstract I'm going to write, such as hook sentence, topic sentence, the question raised by myself, and the reason why I choose the topic, and the thing I hope to share at the convention. I began to write my first draft. After writing, I took self-check by highlighting, adding more details, taking notes, and making more questions for myself, such as does the titles I sketching, think more about the format, the grammar, the ideas, and the word choice, the short size, and some sentences need rewriting and reorganizing the idea, and any more certainty. And I use English profile website to find the words which are suitable for my level I am writing. The Grammarly and Virtual Writing Tutor are the two websites that help me to check the grammar, the spelling, and count the words, because we have to think about the words limit. Quotable is an interesting website that helps me paraphrase the sentences I have written. The second draft was written with title adaptation, was sent better sentences for me and format adjustment. After writing the second draft, I asked my colleagues to read my draft, and they may give me some suggestions necessary, such as use relative pronoun or inform to shorten the sentence, think more about the words, and remember to write academically, and think about your audience. They will need eye-catching format and proof, as well as academic words. And after that, the third draft typed by me with a lot of adaptation and notes from myself and my colleagues. After the third draft was written, I sent it to my beloved mentor. She is Nguyễn. She is a lecturer of English faculty of foreign languages at Hanoi University. Today, I would like to say thanks to her because it's her to introduce me to the VietTESOL and mentor me to write the first abstract. Ms. An would make a lot of suggestions via Google Doc, such as the word choice, the word limit, the structure, and the writing styles. She sent to me, and I moved on writing the fourth draft and sent back to her many times until the last version was completed before submitting. Yeah. And thank you very much for her support. And I can now write an abstract. Okay. And these are the steps of my writing an abstract. And let's have a look. Please with me. Okay. Can you see the step of the diagram? The first is the capturing the topic. And all the others.
Ms. Nga, I'm sorry, please stop sharing your slides and start sharing the diagram.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear now? Can you see now? Okay.
You can move it to another share, the new share.
Okay. These are all the steps I have done when writing the first abstract for the third international convention in Taiwan. Okay.
Can you just share make another share, because we are not looking at your slides now.
I can make it clear, right? Can you see now?
Not yet, sorry.
Okay, thank you. I make another share, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Now the class, have a look at the diagram about the step I have written and abstract. The first capturing, brainstorm ideas. Okay. Before the first draft, have a lot of work have done. Okay. Can I stop sharing now? Okay. Okay, thank you very much for listening. These are my steps how to write an abstract. Thank you, Mr. Đặng Tấn Tín. Now I can know the structure and how to write an abstract. And I will make a lot of suggestions and adapt to my future abstract for the Đà Nẵng VietTESOL, right? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I stop running. Now move on, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Nga, for a very inspiring story. And I hope that your sharing will inspire the others who are working as K-12 teachers around Vietnam to have more motivation to send the abstracts, send their teaching initiatives to the VietTESOL Convention in Da Nang this year, or maybe other future conferences. Okay, join me introduce Dr. and Ms. Hồng Phương, sorry, yeah, Ms. Hồng Phương, and she will share with us, the different stories about, writing abstracts for conferences. Okay, Ms. Phương, please.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So thank you very much, the organizing committee, to give me this opportunity to share with you my modest experience in writing a successful abstract for conferences. I specifically talk about the TESOL International Conferences. So let me share, let me introduce something about myself. Phương, I am a lecturer working together with Ms. Chang in Hanoi National University of Education, and currently now I'm a PhD student at Victoria University of Wellington. So may I share my screen now? Okay, so let me share with you my experience on writing successful TESOL abstract. And okay, I will touch upon 5 tips. My first tip is identifying the audience. So the most important thing is at this stage is to satisfy the conference review committee. After we get our abstract accepted, we will then think of the secondary audience who are conference attendee. So this is very important, the first important step. And I may restate some of the things that Dr. Tín and other people shared. I follow the 4 C's. C's number 1 is writing a complete abstract, meaning that our abstract should cover all essential components. Okay, I will move on to the details in the next slide about the essential components. C number 2 is writing a concise and containing necessary information. What I mean is abstract should contain no redundancy. That's Mr. Tín have already mentioned. C number 3 is writing a clear and readable, well-organized abstract, which does not include jargon. Yeah, C number 4 is writing a cohesive abstract, which I mean is there should be a thread among the components. Okay, so now I move on to the essential components. So I call it moves because I follow Halleck and Corner 2006. So there are 7 compulsory moves that I used in the last abstract submitted to TESOL Convention. So move number 1 is territory, where we want to refer to the theoretical background to establish our study. We want to write in the abstract. Move number 2 refers to previous research. So this thing, something in contrast with what Dr. Tín had shared. So I myself put citation here to mention what I have been done, what people have been done in relation to previous research in related to my research study. So move number 3 refers to establishing the research gap. It means that while we conducted the current study, which significant it may contribute to the existing literature, or it may be the lack of study in a given context. So move number 4 talks about what the study will do. Why move number 5, how we will achieve this. It is actually the methodology. Move number 6 is outcomes or the findings. And move number 7, we will talk about pedagogical indication or suggestion for future studies, which specifically related to our study or the similar context. So I think following this move is very useful for novice researchers like me when we write abstract for certain conferences. And what I mean is TESOL conferences. So in the next slide, I would like to share with you tip number 3, following the guidelines. So somebody have already shared information. I remember Ms. Cook, okay, she talked about following the guidelines. So here I restate that. Always follow the guidelines of the conferences you intend to submit. So here I share with you the link to TESOL Conference 2019 call for proposals. So here you can see the word proposals, something different between others conferences, I mean. they don't call the abstract, they call proposals. So look for the checklist for proposal writers. So here they have, I screenshot the checklist from TESOL conference and always following that. Tip number 4 I would like to mention is read the rating abstract rubrics. So imagine that you are your own reviewer. So for example, this year I act as an abstract reviewer, so I base on the rubrics to pass or to fail a certain abstract. So read this very carefully before you may need to revise. So yeah. Here is the 2021 call for proposals. So in this link, they also state some checklists and guidelines for you. So have a look at it, and then you will see some details information about the proposals you may want to share, you may want to submit. And the last tip I would like to say is always seek for, always edit and proofreading. You may need to seek for help from your colleagues or from your friends or mentors, as somebody has already seek for VietTESOL mentors. So yeah, something that I did is I seek help from my professor when I submitted last TESOL conference, international conferences, and I successfully accepted. Yeah, so thank you very much for allowing me to share with you my experience in writing abstract. And that's all for my sharing. I just have very quick and very brief tips to share with you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Phương, for very wonderful sharing. And I have learned a lot from your moves from the stages of writing an abstract. And I think you guys can learn a lot from the rating rubric that Phương just shared with us, and combined with the criteria of a high quality abstract shared by Dr. Tín, and the checklist shared by Ms. Cúc, okay, for ThaiTESOL, and then we can have a great lesson and takeaway today, yeah, to write an abstract. So okay, let me introduce the last facilitator. Thank you for your patience, Dr. Nhật from Hanoi University of Education #2. Maybe I got the wrong name, however. Okay, I think you from Đại học Sư phạm Hanoi 2, right? Okay, so let me introduce her today to share with us her own experience, another story. Okay, Dr. Nhật, please.
Thank you, Ngọc Anh. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, the webinar committee, for inviting me today to share with you my experience. And thank you for everyone for joining the webinar today. I consider these opportunities a wonderful experience for me, because it is a chance for me to share my own experience, also to learn from you, and I learn a lot from you and would love to hear more from you. So my name is Nguyễn, and currently I'm a lecturer at Hanoi Pedagogical University #2 in Vinh Phuc province. Okay, and today I would love to share my own experience of writing abstract, and I will go in details with international conference, that is CLaSIC. So let me share my screen right now. Can you see my screen, everyone?
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah, so I would love to share some practical considerations in writing conferences abstract. It means that I want to look at the process of writing abstract from a very personal perspective for some considerations which are very practical, very technical. So there are 5 considerations that I have taken when I write abstract. The first is conference requirements, time to write the abstract, structure of the abstract, and the language I should use when I write abstracts, and also the revising steps. Let me start with the first one. Here I give an example of the CLaSIC conference in Singapore. This one is an international conference held by the National University of Singapore, which is really prestigious conference. You can have a look at the website here, and whenever I start writing an abstract, what I will have a look is I want to see what are the requirements of the conference. For example, I will look at the themes of the conference, and I want to see whether the conference are looking for empirical studies or just theoreticals. For the CLaSIC conference, they prefer many current research and practice study. It means that they will look for empirical studies. So this is one of the considerations you should always remember, because if you just want to share your experience, a CLaSIC conference is not a good place for you. But if you have, you conduct a study with methodology, with findings, so CLaSIC conference is an ideal place. Also, I will see whether the topic of my abstract, of my study, is it relevant? Is it, preferred by the conference? I will look at the themes, the sub-themes of the conference to see if it is relevant. Also, if you have a look at the website, they give you a lot of information about the formats, about the requirements. And for example, if you look at here, the abstract, they require the limit, the word limit is 200, from 150 to 200 words. And you need to use Times New Roman and the size is 11. So it's just some very technical points that you need to take into consideration before you start drafting your abstract. The second consideration is, when should I start writing the abstract? I don't know. What do you think? Maybe your experience will be personal and different, but from my own experience, I think, and I find it really helpful because I tried and I think it worked really well. So I start drafting my abstract as soon as possible. Like even if it's very rough draft, but it helped me to think and decide what I want to include in the abstract. I have to decide on the methodology and what are the findings that my research, what are the key findings I want to share. So that's really important, so that is the very important step that I take. So how to write the abstract? We have been listening to many experts during the webinars, and this is just like my reflections on what Ms. Dr. Tín or Ms. Phương and Ms. Nhung and other facilitators have shared. I approach the abstract writing, from the writing views. It means that I look at the steps, or in Dr. Tín's work, he called the elements of the abstract. So here we have some key elements in a flow of ideas. So for example, when we have the first element, that is the background information, or as Ms Phương just shared, that is the step when you have to share your research study in the field, in the territory field. So we need to have the first move of the writing, and we need to establish the context of our paper. And for that, I use this diagram. You see, the first column is a stage, the second column is a function, and the third column is the writing. So whenever I write, I will look at these columns to remind me of what I really have to say here, even if really draft. So the first move is the background information, and the second move is the problems or the gaps in the field, in the knowledge. And I know the function and I put the writing here. Similarly, we have the aims for the objectives of the study, the methodology, what did we do to conduct the study, and the findings and the conclusion or application or implication for research or for teaching. So I always use this, table to draft my writing. It's really helpful for me. Okay. So after that, let me give you another consideration that I think it is useful too. That is the language. I have been, in the past when I was new to research, I find it really hard to choose the language or the structures or the tenses that I can use in the abstract. And one of the sources that I think is amazing, that is the Fraser Bank of Manchester University. It is developed by the experts in the field. And you can have a look here. You can see they introduce you with language and structures that you can use when you introduce your work, or when you refer to sources, or when you describe method or report result, or discuss your finding, and even writing conclusion. Let's have a look at an example. You see, this is the introduction part, you can see. And when you want to explain the gaps of the research, and you see, they give you plenty of structures that you may use, which is relevant to your study. For example, you want to explain the inadequacy of previous study, you may use a structure like a previous study of X have not dealt with, or researcher have not treated X in much detail. So this is just one example of writing introduction, and you can find other structures or languages to write other parts of the paper. And for me, I also experienced with confusion in using verb tense. And after writing my thesis for my PhD study, and also seek for the expert advice, I found out that there are some common rules in using verb tenses. It can be flexible, but it is commonly used. When you talk about your background information, you may use a present perfect tense or present simple tense. Or when you write about the gaps in the knowledge, you may use present simple tense. And about aims, you can use present simple tense as well. But when you write about your methodology, you need to use past simple tense. And findings, you also use past simple tense. And when you write about your application, the implications, discussion, and conclusion, you may use present simple tense and present perfect tense. Yeah. So after I have drafted my abstracts for the languages I use, the next step is revising. Okay, revising. That one of the advice I found it really interesting and helpful, and I got it from my supervisors. It is forget it for a while. So after drafted your draft, if you have time, it's better for you to forget it for a week maybe, and then after that you have fresher mind, fresher eyes when look at your own abstract as an outsider. And at that time, you will see, is there some points that you are not clear? Is there some point that you want to clarify? So it's really helpful. And then, as Ms. Phương has mentioned, we need to seek for editing and proofreading. That's really important. You should finalize with the title, the keywords, and also get help from a mentor or a college. And if you have done such steps, I think good news is waiting for you. So this is some references I have used and I would love to share with you. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Nhật, for your sharing. I think I find some common things between your sharing and Ms. Phương sharing. You also based on kind of six-stage cycle for writing an abstract. But I find that you're sharing more a little bit detailed because yeah, you also share kind of like how to build your abstract with the academic words and based on a phrase bank by Manchester University. So you can just get to Ms. Nhật reference and then get their academic word list from her reference. Okay, and I find that your sharing and Ms. Phương sharing that be applicable to writing not just only abstract for conference, but also the papers for publication as well. Yeah, because you can base on the stages and then get for the paper submission. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for your patience until now. I think that it's just 12:30 now, and then honestly, I'm quite a little bit hungry actually. Thank you for staying with us until now, and move on to the Q&A section. So if you have any question, just please, do you think that Ms. Zhang, do you think that the participant can raise their voice or they can just put their question in the chat box? So we can move on to the Q&A. So you can just ask, Dr. Tín or any facilitator here, any question?
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Ngọc Anh. I have received lots of questions from our participants, not only in our Zoom chat room, but also from the VietTESOL, because our webinar today is live streamed. So I also received a lot of comments and questions from our participants. And I also forwarded all to Dr. Tín. And I think that now Dr. Tín can take the floor and maybe give some comments or feedback to these questions from our brilliant participants. I must admit that. Thank you, Dr. Tín.
So far, I have got a couple of questions from Tâm Trang, and then I'm going to put one in the slide because it has already been put here, because it talks about how to present the numbering, so that's a little bit difficult to talk. Okay, I just give you here a couple of examples for you to have an idea about what it can be. First of all, I have to say that if we want to present the numbering in the abstract, the first one is we need to avoid doing it. So don't do the numbering in the abstract. However, if we have to, I mean that there's no other ways of doing it, so we have to do the numbering. So that's all right. Do the numbering. Okay. First of all, look at the first example. You can see here says that the data were collected from high school students, teachers, and parents. You can see that we have school students, high school students, teachers, and parents. So these chunks of text are quite short. So there should be no reason for us to do the numbering, right? Because we just use comma and that's enough. But have a look at the second one. If the chunks of text are quite long, a little bit long, so it's a students in a rural area of Vietnam, and then international tourists from different countries around the world, and the international investors from Europe, because there are 3 pieces of text, okay? And then each piece of text is quite long, so maybe we do 1, 2, 3 like this, okay? But I would say if it's not really confusing, and then we don't need to do it. We can just put it there. Especially in this situation, if you look at here, it says students in rural areas of Vietnam, and then here the international tourists from different countries around the world and from Europe. So there is not much about overlapping or the use of and. If one chunk of text, so students in rural area of Vietnam, we have students and teachers in a rural area of Vietnam, and then maybe we need to put the numbering here, okay? So again, it depends a lot on whether our chunks of text are long or short. But I would say that basically, don't try to avoid the numbering as much as possible in abstract. The second one is which abstract we should focus on, because there are 3 types of abstracts. So which one we should focus on, and what should we focus on in an abstract? Should we focus on the motivation, the rationale, or the methodology, or what? Okay. The first, number 1, we have to look at the requirements. It's in different different conferences or different journals, they will have a different requirements for the abstract. Okay, so look at the requirements and try to meet the requirements. Okay. Number 2, even though when we have already got a research study, we have already got an abstract, but then which section in the abstract we should focus on, even though we know that we have a rationale, we have a research methodology, we have a finding, we have indication, etc. So the concern of the main focus of an abstract depends on the main focus of our study. Our study primarily focuses on methodology, if it is the case, and then talk more about the methodology. But if it is more about what the gap, and then focus more on the gap. If we have a kind of finding, which is like a Me Too finding, okay? Me Too finding is quite popular in research. Me Too study, Me Too findings means we do a piece of research, and then finally we have the same finding, okay? The same finding as many other findings that have already been reported in the literature. So again, when people look at that, it would say that, oh, our findings are the same as what has been written before. So that's really not very good. All right. So we have to focus a lot on the rationale, because we know that the research has already been on this, on that, and the findings have been this, that, but we decide to conduct the study again simply because of this very strong rationale. Okay. Otherwise, people will say, well, why do you do such a kind of study, and then finally you have a Me Too finding. Okay. All right. That's the first 2. The next one is about that I got from here. The first one, it says, if we live in another country, not in Vietnam, how would we conduct the procedure in classroom? Oh, if you, basically you cannot do it. But the question is whether you have to do it or you don't have to do it. You are a researcher, but do you want to be involved in the research? That means that the researcher and you are also the participant, or you want to be away from the research. Well, again, it depends on the research paradigm and worldview, and it is going to become a very big story after that. But what I would like to say here is, do you want to engage in your research as a participant or not? If you cannot do it, and then you can have your colleagues doing it for you. You can have students do it for you, but you don't actually involve in the process of the data collection or things like that, right? So it's hard to say which approach you want to use. Nowadays, even though it comes to another story, it comes to another question. We often talk a lot about students studying online and things like that. So you can go to the online space and then look at the students' interactions over there. You don't need to actually respond to them, because maybe when you respond to them, they suddenly realize, oh, there's somebody in here, somebody who does not belong to this class. So I need to be more careful with that. Well, if your research is about that, well, maybe you need to do it. But if it's not the purpose of your research, and then you can always lurk. Okay, lurking is a popular term nowadays when people look at online research and online learning. The question is about how effective is it when you collect data by sending Google Forms or survey to the netizens on social networks. Well, I would say that it's going to be a very big story, because I cannot say that the questionnaire is good or the questionnaire is bad. No, there would be nothing that is always good and nothing that is always bad. It depends a lot on how we are going to deal with the problem. Even though when the students say, I like it very much, but it does not mean that they like it. And the problem is, as a researcher, we need to understand what do they mean. What they mean rather than what they say. They say it, but whether they mean it or not. Okay, so the same thing happens with the survey. We have several ways to identify outliers. Okay, so if we do the questionnaire, for example, so there will be techniques for us to identify outliers. Who are the outliers, and who should be included in the sample, who should not be included in the sample. But then it does not mean that the technical procedure can always help us to identify all the outliers. Well, so again, it depends on us. If we, as a researcher, when we look at the responses from a participant, for example, and we can have a kind of feeling that the responses are not real. That means that the students, they didn't do the questionnaire honestly. So just feel free to exclude them, to exclude that student from your study. Why? Because if you include that participant, and your study is not going to be reliable. It's going to change your findings, for example. And then, of course, you have a total freedom of removing any participant that you think they don't respond to the question honestly. Okay, it does not mean that if you don't like their responses and then you exclude them. No, it is a different story, right? The point here is we need to make sure that our study is reliable. So we have to eliminate all the falsified or all the whatever dishonest responses from the participants. Okay, thank you very much for the questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tín, for addressing all the questions very clearly and amazingly. Okay, so Ms. Yang, do you think that we have time more to have more questions, or maybe directly from the audience here who stay with us? I think so. Everyone, do you want to raise your voice to give a questions to any moderator in here? Maybe the only question, or otherwise we will move on to the last section of the webinar today. If you have any questions, just raise your hand.
I also have just forwarded another question from Ms. Giang Lê to Dr. Tín in your message. If you still have time, you can address the question. And if not, we can save it for the post-webinar activities. Please go to the VietTESOL forum for these webinars.
The question is from Yang Lei, right? I have a difficulty in exploring concepts in literature review, like to what extent, how deep should we dig into all concepts and theories? This also doing with how to generate the key terms in abstract. Well, I guess it is taking things into a different story of writing literature review. That's hard to say. How much is enough? Well, it's impossible to say how much is enough, right? It depends a lot on the scope of your study. Okay, you can always extend your literature review until you think that it is enough for your argument, and only you can know whether it's enough or not enough. Okay, when people or the reviewers, when they look at your research, they will say, oh, whether what you say is supported by the literature, whether your argument is in line with the findings that people have already discussed in the literature. Okay, if you have any counter argument, whether your argument is properly supported, okay, either by the literature, your empirical data, or your observation, or your colleagues, or your context, or whatever. If you can find out enough support for your argument, and then that's okay. Just go on with your study. You don't need to wait until you have a complete review of the literature. You cannot, because we cannot do it. Okay, that's too difficult. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tín. I think that now you can also share with us your idea about the mentor and mentee activities provided by our team. Yeah, can you please?
So should I talk, or who is going to talk?
I believe that you can do whatever you want.
Okay. I would say that after the webinar, there will be, actually now there are spaces for you to interact with VietTESOL in general. You can always send your draft or whatever that you have, or research idea, whatever you have, to us. I mean, VietTESOL Association. Well, I'm not sure whether we are real expert of the area that you are interested in doing, but certainly we can give feedback and comment for you to improve your research. For example, if you just basically, if you need somebody to talk to for your research, and then just contact us. If you put your draft of your writing, a draft of any of your writing on VietTESOL website, and then we are going to respond to that too. So VietTESOL Association in general is there to help anyone who would like to work on the areas of TESOL. So just feel free to contact us. Maybe sometimes we cannot respond you promptly, but then that's fine. It might take us a couple of days to respond to you, but we will do it because we are here to serve the communities. We have a very good team of mentors, and they are very enthusiastic. They can respond to you even at midnight. So don't worry about that. Thank you.
Thanks so much. So you can see that we have a team here who are very willing to respond to you and stand beside you. Yeah. So Ms. Anh, please take the floor.
Oh, I think that you're in charge of getting the final stage of this webinar. Okay, but however, okay, as a moderator of the webinar today, I'm very glad to wrap up what we got today from the sharings of speaker Dr. Đặng Tấn Tín, and for I think 5 facilitators, Ms Nhung, Ms Cúc, Ms Nga, Dr. Nhật, and Ms Hồng. Even though we are different corners of the world, and Ms Phương is from Wellington, and Ms Nga from Tây Bắc, Ms Nhật from Vinh Phuc, Mr. Tín from Ho Chi Minh City, Ms Nhung from Quang Binh, and Ms Cúc from Nha Trang. But actually, and Hanoi, and others from many areas of Vietnam, and even in in Canada, Ms Hồng just texted us, or in Melbourne, a lot of just colleagues around the world just gather in here because of our passion for professional sharing and learning. So I really appreciate the chance to thank all of you for your patience and your participation. We got a lot of lessons from the sharing by Dr. Tín, and I think the committee will upload his presentation, and you can contact him personally via his email. And then you can get access to the other sharings by facilitators. So actually, from the theoretical and conceptual aspects of writing an abstract to practical techniques and strategies from other sharing today, from all the sharing today, I hope that you can gained a lot of useful takeaways, and you can be more daring, more confident to submit your abstracts, submit your teaching ideas, your creativity in your teaching, and then get support from the mentors, from the mentoring program of VietTESOL Association, get help from any trustful source. And then, just go for the conferences and be shining in your own way. Okay, so I think I should leave the floor to Ms. Chang to introduce their season 2 of the webinar. Okay, and then we have for lunch, quite late lunch. Okay, Ms. Chang, I just take my floor.
All right, thank you for your introduction. I think that before we finish our webinar, the participants, please remember to go to our link to send the proof of the attendance by giving your answer to the 3 questions designed by Dr. Tín, and also send us some feedback so that we can, based on your comments, to improve the quality of our upcoming webinars. Actually, we haven't finalized the topics of the webinars of the season 2 yet, but we hope that we can provide you with the information about the webinars of season 2 as soon as possible. Yeah, thank you so much. So, Ngọc Anh, do you have anything to add here?
No, I just want
we are
to
waiting
yeah,
for Ms. Ngọc Anh to invite our very potential speakers for season 2.
oh my God. Can you just stop sharing, and then I really want to just give them a final words, and then we can close off their webinar today. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so all the references and useful websites or sources for writing an abstract to conferences can be found in VietTESOL.org, and then you just go to the website and then find them quite easily. And please just take time to do the survey to show the evidence that you attended this webinar to get their electronic certificate. So yeah, on behalf of the committee, the organizing committee today and all the speakers, I would like to send their appreciation and thanks to all of you for your patience and presence. And then I hope that you have learned, including like me, have learned a lot from the speakers. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
And now, and then we can say, yeah, just see you later next time. Yeah, for another webinar. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you all.
Everyone.
Let me stop the recording.
Okay, so Ms. Lan Hường, can you just help me just end the meeting?